Seattle Underground. Can you imagine a toilet geyser shooting raw sewage 2 to 10 feet in the air? It's a true story, the story of the Seattle Underground. When the people started building Seattle, they built it on the tide flat. The people who did this weren't used to building at sea level. They were from the Midwest. Soon they figured out what happened when you build on the tide flat. The tides come in and out all day. And when the tide came in, the whole city flooded with 2-3 times a day.
Loud voice, like yelling almost.
The problem got worse instead of better. It wasn't just seawater. The tide flooded all the raw sewage because nothing was draining. This is not just disgusting, but also can make people sick. But Thomas Crapper invented the toilet, which they called the Crapper. The people of Seattle were sure this would solve the problem. They built on huge wooden sewage pipe that started at the top of a big hill, now called First Hill, where many people lived. The big wooden drainage pipe ran down the hill all the way through the main part of the city, now called Downtown and Pioneer Square, into the Sound. It used gravity from the hill to drain. This pipe with the Crapper was supposed to solve the problem. The people of Seattle also didn't like Tacoma because they got the railroads, so they hoped the tide would take the sewage through the Sound to Tacoma. Once again, they were wrong. It didn't work. The sewage would go down the pipe to the Sound, and then when the tide came in, it would push all the way back up the pipe. Then it would shoot out of the crappers if someone tried to flush. Then the Great Seattle Fire happened in 1889 when a cabinet maker started a glue pot. The fire destroyed the city. They decided when they rebuilt they should make the city higher to solve the sewage problem. But the people who owned the stores, they didn't want to wait that long since it would take over 7 years to build the city higher. So the store owners went ahead and built their stores while the city built walls and higher streets around each block. If you wanted to cross the street, you would have to walk down the sidewalk to the corner, up a ladder across the street, and down another ladder to the next sidewalk. It was dangerous and many people fell. Some people died from
Amazon. In the 1990s, Amazon became popular. The Amazon founder was Jeff Bezos. My timeline. They didn't tell me what they did in the timeline, but this is what I got from the computer. So, 1995, they started service. In 1997, they sold their first book. 1998, they did their first group meeting. 1999, got a hint of the service they were doing. In 2001, they were really great at their service. Amazon.com was not clear. They would not have the Fire phone. Other questions I have, I did not find the answers to. What happened over the years up to now?
UW officially opened on November 4th, 1861, as the University of Washington. Their motto is "Let there be light." I think that means there's always room for opportunity. UW's home is in Seattle. I think people that graduate from there are destined to do great things. They have 21 varsity teams, including football, basketball, and cheerleading. The UW sports teams' colors are purple and gold. Their mascots are Harry the Husky and Dubs. Dubs is a real husky. UW is important to Seattle because when people go there, they get a good education and can help Seattle grow. It also attracts people to go there and stay as long as they can and help them and they help Seattle grow as well. And that was my report.
Underground Seattle started in the year 1889 after the Great Fire. The Great Fire was a fire that burned down all of Seattle. Tours of it began in the 1960s, created by Bill Spiegel. The reason why Underground Seattle started was because of the Great Fire. The Great Fire was in downtown Seattle. My topic is important to Seattle because it is what our Seattle is now. Well, it's why we have our Seattle now. The guy who made Underground Seattle lived from 1912 to 1988. They built our Seattle 12 feet higher than the original 30 feet. The end.